Okay, I am furious. You are just not going to believe the sheer nerve, the audacity of what is happening right now. It's outrageous.
It really is.
We're looking at a full-scale assault on academic freedom, and it's coming from the very top. The person sworn to uphold the Constitution. Welcome to the Deep Dive. I'm Mike.
And I'm Sam. Today we're really digging into the president's attack, and it is an attack on Harvard University. It's unprecedented.
Totally. What started, as this dispute over federal money has just blown up. It's become this barrage of accusations, insult.
And what really looks like a blatant attempt to, control one of America's biggest, most well-known universities.
Exactly. So let's just get straight to the core of it. Harvard University. They're suing the current federal government, suing them.
And the reason is huge. The administration has frozen, just stopped, $2.2 billion in federal funding. Some sources even say maybe $2.3 billion.
It's a staggering amount. And look, this isn't just like abstract numbers on a spreadsheet. This is money for vital research.
Right. Medical breakthroughs, new technologies, things that actually benefit Americans,
Things that help people. And the administration is holding it hostage.
And you have to look at why they're doing it. What are the demands for releasing this money? It's pretty shocking.
It is. They want Harvard to completely overhaul its governance structure, how it runs itself.
Can change its hiring practices. They're demanding what they call ideological diversity.
Right.
Which sounds, loaded.
It sounds like thought police, frankly. And get this.
Yeah.
They want Harvard to screen international students based on their beliefs.
Yeah, screening beliefs and rejecting anyone they decide is hostile to American values. I mean, who gets to define that?
It raises huge questions, doesn't it? About government overreach, about what universities are supposed to be independent places of thought or
extensions of the current political agenda.
So Harvard, quite rightly, said no, absolutely not. They sent back this scathing letter from their lawyers.
Pushing back hard. And here's where it gets really, really interesting strategically. The lawyers they hired.
Oh, yeah. This is key. Two big names, both with pretty significant Republican ties. First up, William Burke.
Right. A major Republican lawyer. You might know him as a former ethics advisor to, wait for it, the Trump Organization.
Yep, the Trump Organization.
Yeah.
And he's represented a whole bunch of Trump allies over the years.
So Harvard hiring him, it's clearly a move. It says this isn't just Democrats complaining. It suggests this is about fundamental principles, not just politics.
It really undercuts any attempt to just paint Harvard as some, liberal bastion whining. His background adds this whole other layer.
Definitely. And the second lawyer, Robert Hur.
Ah, yes, Robert Hur. People will remember that name. Trump appointed him as U.S. Attorney for Maryland.
And more recently, he's a guy who investigated President Biden's handling of classified documents.
Really?
Wrote that report calling Biden,
The sympathetic, well-meaning, elderly man with a poor memory. That report.
That's the one. The irony here is just, wow. A guy whose report the previous administration, found useful politically is now representing Harvard against the current administration's actions.
It's almost unbelievable. It really shows how these core principles, like university freedom, can sometimes cut across the usual party lines.
Absolutely. The fact that a former Trump appointee is defending Harvard here says a lot about what's really at stake. Academic freedom, separation of powers.
So Burke and Hur, together, they wrote Harvard's legal response. And they didn't mince words. They accused the president directly of trying to invade university freedoms.
That phrase, university freedoms, it's important. It covers, the right to set curriculum, do research without political meddling, run their own affairs.
And Harvard President Garber's been saying the same thing, talking about university autonomy, First Amendment rights. This is the ground they're fighting on.
And Harvard's argument is basically that these administration demands are a massive overstep into those protected areas.
Okay, so the Harvard sues. How does the president react? Does he engage with the legal arguments? Does he maybe reflect?
No, of course not. Predictably, he absolutely lost it, unleashed this raging tirade on Truth Social.
Call surprise. What did he say?
Oh, the usual stuff, dialed up to 11. Called Harvard an anti-Semitic, far-left institution, a liberal mess.
Wait, he called Harvard a threat to democracy?
Yep.
Seriously, Harvard?
Yep. A threat to democracy. It's quite something.
It's projection, isn't it? Calling the institution resisting his overreach the threat. Wow.
And these labels, these broad brush attacks, they just shut down any real conversation, don't they? Harvard's a complex place, lots of different people and views.
Of course. But the attacks didn't stop with the institution itself, did they? He went after the students, too.
No, he went right for the students, claimed, with zero evidence, of course, that they're from all over the world that want to rip our country apart.
Good grief.
Called them crazed lunatics spewing fake anger and hate. I mean, the language is just...
It's inflammatory, it's dangerous, it's completely unbecoming of the office.
And it aims to delegitimize the whole place, the students, everyone there.
And then the faculty. He had words for them, too, I bet.
Oh, absolutely. He alleged Harvard hires almost all woke, radical left, idiots and bird brains, his words.
Idiots and bird brains. Classy.
Who, according to him, only teach failure. So he's basically trying to dictate who universities should hire based on ideology.
This whole ideological diversity thing, it sounds so reasonable on the surface to some, maybe, but how would that even work?
Exactly. Who decides the correct balance in, say, astrophysics or medieval literature? It's a minefield and a clear threat to academic freedom itself.
Okay, but here's where it pivots, where it gets personal and, frankly, even more alarming. William Burke. The lawyer.
Yeah, the Republican lawyer Harvard hired who used to advise the Trump Organization.
The president saw that as, what, a betrayal?
Apparently. A personal betrayal.
Okay.
Because Burke dared to represent Harvard against him.
So what did he do?
He went public, on Truth Social again, demanded that his sons, who run the Trump Organization, now force Burke out. Immediately.
No. He demanded they fire their lawyer. Publicly.
Yeah.
Because that lawyer took a case against his administration.
Yes. Called for Burke's resignation or firing, and then threw in this petty insult, he's not that good anyway.
That's staggering. It's a blatant abuse of power, isn't it? Using his platform to pressure his private family business to punish someone.
It raises incredibly serious questions. Does he understand the independence of lawyers, the right to representation, or does he just not care?
And the Trump Organization. Did they?
Yeah.
Did they actually do it?
They did. Eric Trump and the company announced they were cutting ties with Burke. They cited some vague conflict and moving in a different direction.
Oh, come on, a conflict. The conflict is that Burke took a case the president doesn't like.
That's certainly how it looks. It looks like punishment, pure and simple. Punishment for challenging the president legally.
This is not how a democracy is supposed to work. This is the president acting like a tin pot dictator, using his family business to retaliate against someone doing their job.
It sends a chilling message, doesn't it? Sue us, or represent someone who sues us, and there could be professional consequences for you.
It completely blurs the line between political power and the legal system. The independence of lawyers is fundamental. You have to be able to represent your client without fearing this kind of retribution.
It's a cornerstone of a fair justice system.
And it gets worse. We're seeing reports now, CNN had one, suggesting the administration might be looking to weaponize actual government agencies, like the IRS.
Using the IRS to go after Harvard's tax-exempt status.
Potentially. Exploring it. Using the machinery of government as a weapon for political revenge.
That is deeply concerning. The potential for abuse there is enormous, and it erodes the norms that are supposed to protect institutions from exactly this kind of political interference.
So you really have to give Harvard credit here for suing in the first place and for their choice of lawyers. It took guts.
It really did. It shows how seriously they take these threats, and picking lawyers like Burke and Hur with those Republican ties was a very deliberate, very smart move.
Yeah, it frames it as a principled stand, not just partisan politics.
Which it is.
And the president calling Harvard, a threat to democracy. It's absurd. It's dangerous nonsense.
The real threat, arguably, is the administration's behavior. Trying to silence dissent, control independent institutions, punish opponents. That's the threat to democratic norms.
Exactly. Labeling your critics threats is, well, it's a classic authoritarian tactic, isn't it?
Well, it is. It aims to delegitimize any opposition.
And the hypocrisy. Calling Harvard anti-Semitic and far left.
Yeah.
Does he ignore the thousands of Jewish students and faculty, the prominent Republicans and conservatives who are alumni? It's just honest.
These broad, unsubstantiated smears, they don't rely on facts. They're designed to stir anger and division.
So you step back and look at the whole picture. The funding freeze, the demands, the Truth Social rants, the attack on the students, the targeting of the lawyer.
Yeah.
It paints a picture of a president who seems desperate to assert total control and lash out at anyone who stands in his way.
It raises really fundamental questions about the limits of executive power and what happens when those limits are aggressively tested.
He seems to think he can intimidate anyone. Top lawyers, major law firms like Quinn Emanuel, where Burke is a partner.
But that often backfires, doesn't it? Trying to bully experienced
I
lawyers.
think it might here. I mean, trying to get Burke fired, that could easily galvanize more legal action, not less, against the administration, maybe even against the Trump organization itself.
You don't want to make enemies of highly competent legal professionals who feel their professional integrity has been attacked. That seems unwise.
Yeah, he might find he stirred up a hornet's nest. You can't just expect lawyers to roll over when you attack their independence like that.
The independence of the legal profession is crucial. It's a check on power. Trying to undermine it harms the whole system, the rule of law itself.
So what we're seeing here, let's be clear, is a dangerous assault on institutional independence, on the rule of law, and it needs to be resisted.
Strongly.
Harvard's fight isn't just about Harvard. It's about whether any institution, university, nonprofit, maybe even businesses eventually, can be free from this kind of political strong-arming.
The health of democracy really depends on these independent institutions being able to function without undue political pressure.
This really feels like a line-in-the-sand moment. It shows a president willing to use his power, his platform, even his family business, for personal vendettas, to silence opposition.
It's outrageous. It absolutely demands our attention.
The implications go way beyond Harvard Square. It's about the basic relationship between the government and, well, the rest of society.
Absolutely. We need to stay informed, keep talking about this, keep analyzing it.
Yeah, critically analyzing it. This cannot be allowed to become the new normal.
Informed public discussion is vital. It's how we hold power accountable.
So please, keep watching the deep dive. We promise we will stay on this story and others like it. If you found this deep dive important, if it made you think, or maybe even made you angry,
Which it probably should.
then please like this video, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and make sure you click that notification bell. That way, you won't miss our next breakdown.
We'll keep digging.
You'll catch us on the next Breaking News.